This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when life feels easier. Right here, right now. This is the moment that decides who you are and who you refuse to be. Too many people live waiting for the perfect time. Let me tell you the truth, the perfect time will never come. Life will never slow down and hand you the opportunity. You create it. You take it. You own it. And today I need you to understand that everything you've been through, every scar, every failure, every late night where you almost gave up, it has prepared you for this exact second. This is your moment today. You've been waiting your whole life for someone to tap you on the shoulder and say, "It's your turn now." Waiting for someone to notice how hard you've worked, how much potential you have, how badly you want this. But listen to me, no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you the life you dream about. The world does not operate like that. If you are sitting there thinking that someday, somehow, someone will finally recognize your worth and give you the chance you deserve, you are wasting the most precious resource you have, your time. Life is not a waiting game. Life is a taking game. Every second you spend waiting is a second you've given away. Every time you hold back, looking for approval, you are letting your fear decide for you. And you have been doing it for far too long. Think about it. How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you were too busy doubting yourself, too scared of what people might say, too afraid that you weren't ready? How much longer will you keep playing small in a world that only rewards those bold enough to demand more? Let's tell the truth. You've been conditioned to believe you need permission. From childhood, you've been told to raise your hand before you speak, to wait your turn, to follow the rules, to stay in line. That conditioning didn't just disappear as you grew older. It's still inside you. You're still raising your hand in life, silently waiting for someone in authority to nod and say, "Yes, you're good enough. You're qualified. You're allowed." But here's the brutal reality. No one is watching that closely. No one is sitting around analyzing your potential the way you imagine. Everyone is too busy fighting for their own survival, too wrapped up in their own insecurities and their own fears. And if you don't stand up and claim your space, someone else will. That's why the people who rise to the top are rarely the ones who wait their turn. They are the ones who interrupt, who break the line, who refuse to accept that success belongs to someone else. They stop asking and they start acting. And until you understand that, you will keep living at half of your capacity. Talented, gifted, capable, but invisible. Think about the times you've had a great idea, but stayed silent in the meeting because you thought, "Who am I to say this?" Think about the opportunities you've let pass because you told yourself, "I'm not ready yet." Think about how many times you've scrolled through social media, watching someone less talented, less skilled, less prepared than you, living the life you want, and you sit there wondering why it isn't you. I'll tell you why. It's not because they're better. It's because they didn't wait for permission. They didn't stop to check if the world thought they were good enough. They just showed up unapologetically and claimed their place. The truth hurts, but it also frees you. You are not behind because of luck or timing or fate. You are behind because you've been asking for permission to move forward. And the day you stop doing that is the day everything shifts. Permission is a prison you've built for yourself. Every time you hesitate, every time you wait for someone to validate your dream, you are locking yourself in a cage of hesitation. Do you realize that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is not ability, not opportunity, not resources? It's hesitation. You already know what you're capable of. You already know the fire that burns inside you, but you've been hiding it under layers of what will they think? And what if I fail? And what if I'm not enough? That hesitation has robbed you of years. And the irony, the people you are waiting on to give you permission, they don't even have the power to determine your worth. They don't decide your destiny. They don't get to define your limits. You've handed them authority they never earned. Why? Why keep giving strangers, bosses, family, society the power to decide whether or not you live fully? Don't you see that you've been bowing to an illusion? Permission doesn't exist. It's something you created in your head. The moment you break free from it, you discover that the doors were never locked in the first place. When you stop waiting for permission, you start living differently. You walk into rooms differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with a presence that makes people take notice. Because suddenly, you're not asking, "Am I allowed?" You're declaring, "I belong here." That shift is not arrogance. It's liberation. It's the understanding that you don't need to prove yourself to step into your dream. You grow by stepping into it. You rise by daring to act before you feel ready. And here's the beautiful thing. No one can actually stop you. They can doubt you. They can criticize you. They can whisper behind your back. But they cannot stop you from claiming what's yours unless you give them that power. The question is, are you willing to stop playing small and start playing bold? Are you willing to stop hiding and finally show the world the force you've always been? Look, every legend, every leader, every history maker was told at some point, "You can't." Every single one of them had people who doubted, laughed, ridiculed, and tried to keep them in their place. But what separates the ones we remember from the ones we never hear about is simply, they didn't wait for the world to approve. They moved anyway. They acted anyway. They believed anyway. And eventually, the world had no choice but to catch up. That's the same choice in front of you today. You can spend the rest of your life waiting for someone else to tell you that you're ready, or you can decide that you are ready right now. Because readiness is not a certificate someone gives you. It is a state of mind you claim. Stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop hesitating. This is your life, your story, your time. You don't need permission to live it fully. You just need the courage to start. Pain is the most misunderstood force in your life. You've been taught to run from it, to hide it, to treat it like a weakness. But the truth is, pain is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Pain is not here to destroy you. It is here to refine you. Every sleepless night you've had, every betrayal, every rejection, every moment you thought you couldn't go on, all of it was building you into someone stronger than you were yesterday. Pain carves you open, and in that carving, it creates space for strength, resilience, and fire. The people who rise to greatness are not the ones who never knew pain. They are the ones who turned their pain into power. They stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" That single shift, seeing pain as a catalyst instead of a curse, is the difference between the broken and the unbreakable. Think back to your hardest moments, the times that almost broke you. At the time, you may have begged for them to end. You may have cried out, wondering why life was so cruel. But now with distance, can you see what those moments gave you? They gave you grit. They gave you a deeper understanding of yourself. They gave you empathy, perspective, and the ability to endure. Pain strips you down, but in doing so, it reveals the core of who you really are. It shows you what you're made of when everything else is taken away. That's why so many of the most successful, powerful people didn't rise because everything was handed to them. They rose because life threw fire at them. And instead of burning, they used it to forge steel. The question is not whether you will experience pain. It is inevitable. The real question is, will you let it bury you, or will you let it build you? Pain is also the greatest fuel for change. Nothing wakes you up like discomfort. Nothing forces you to grow like heartbreak, disappointment, or failure. If you look back at your biggest transformations, chances are they were born out of struggle. You didn't decide to change when everything was comfortable. You changed because pain forced you to. Pain has a way of shoving you out of the places where you've been stuck. It won't let you stay in relationships that drain you, jobs that suffocate you, or patterns that sabotage you. Pain screams at you until you finally listen. That's why running from pain is the worst thing you can do. When you numb it, when you bury it, when you distract yourself from it, you are postponing the very growth that pain is trying to create in you. Instead of asking, how do I make this stop? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Because once you learn the lesson, pain transforms. It becomes fuel. It becomes direction. It becomes the power you never thought you had. The truth is, your pain is the part of you that will connect you to others. We live in a world obsessed with perfection, with highlight reels and flawless images. But people don't connect to perfection. They connect to struggle. They connect to authenticity. They connect to the raw, unpolished truth. When you have the courage to take your pain and turn it into a story, when you stop hiding your scars and start showing them as proof that you've survived, you not only free yourself, you inspire others. You show them that they're not alone. You show them that if you can rise from your pain, so can they. That's why your pain is not just your power. It is your responsibility. It is your gift to the world. You are carrying lessons, wisdom, and strength that someone else desperately needs. But they will never receive it if you keep pretending you've never been broken. Let's be clear. Turning pain into power does not mean ignoring how much it hurts. It does not mean pretending to be fine when you're not. It means embracing the reality of your struggle, facing it head on and choosing to use it instead of letting it use you. Pain is going to visit you whether you like it or not. You don't get to control that. What you do get to control is what you do with it. Will you let it harden you into bitterness, or will you let it sharpen you into resilience? Will you let it keep you down, or will you let it push you higher? The same pain that could make you quit can also make you unstoppable. The same rejection that could make you bitter can also make you fearless. The same heartbreak that could make you close your heart can also make you love with more depth and more courage. Pain is a tool. It's just a matter of how you use it. And here is the most empowering truth. The people who endure pain and rise anyway are untouchable. They can't be shaken by criticism because they've already survived worse. They can't be intimidated by failure because they've already walked through it. They can't be broken by rejection because they've already learned to stand on their own. Pain has given them a foundation so unshakable that nothing the world throws at them can bring them down. And that is the kind of power you have inside you right now. You've been through too much to still be asking if you're strong enough. You are. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are badges of survival. They are proof that no matter what tried to destroy you, it didn't win. And every time you look at those scars, you should be reminded of one thing. If you survive that, there is nothing in this world you cannot face. Excuses are the silent killers of potential. They creep into your mind disguised as logic, as reason, as justification. They whisper to you that the timing isn't right, that you don't have enough money, that you don't have the right connections, that you're too young, or too old, or too unprepared. And the worst part, you believe them. You cradle them like truth, when in reality, they are lies designed to keep you exactly where you are. Excuses are comfortable. They protect you from risk, from judgment, from failure. But they also protect you from growth, from greatness, from becoming the person you were meant to be. Every excuse you make is a chain you willingly wrap around your own potential. And with each chain, you grow heavier, slower, weaker, until one day you wake up and realize you've built your own prison and handed yourself the key, yet you refuse to unlock the door. The truth is, excuses are easier than accountability. It is far easier to blame the economy, the boss, the family, the lack of opportunity, than to look in the mirror and admit you are the one holding yourself back. But here's the raw truth. You need to face people with fewer resources, fewer connections, and fewer advantages than you have built empires. People who started with nothing but hunger and grit have changed the world. So what makes you think your excuse is valid? Excuses are equal opportunity destroyers. They don't care about your background, your dreams, or your intentions. The moment you buy into them, you lose. Greatness does not wait for ideal conditions. Greatness is born when you take imperfect action in imperfect circumstances and refuse to let anything stand in your way. Every person who ever achieved something extraordinary have every reason to quit, every reason to say, "Not now." But they didn't. They chose to rise above excuses. And that is the exact choice in front of you. Let's dismantle the myth of no time. You say you don't have time, but you find hours to scroll, to binge, watch, to waste in conversations that lead nowhere. You say you're busy, but busy is not the same as productive. The truth is, you make time for what matters. If it mattered enough, you would wake up earlier, stay up later, cut out distractions, and carve out the minutes needed to move forward. Time is not the problem. Priorities are. When you tell yourself, "I don't have time," what you're really saying is, "It's not important enough to me." Own that truth, and you'll see that the issue isn't the clock. It's your choices. The people who rise above excuses understand that everyone is given the same 24 hours. The difference between success and mediocrity is not how much time you have. It's how you use it. And then there's the excuse of not ready. How many dreams have died because someone was waiting to feel ready? Let me tell you, readiness is a myth. You will never feel fully ready. You will never have all the information, all the resources, all the confidence before you begin. Readiness comes from doing, not waiting. Every master was once a beginner who dared to start before they were prepared. Every innovator, every leader, every world changer began with shaky hands and uncertainty in their heart. They didn't wait for the perfect moment, they created it. If you are waiting until you feel ready, you will wait forever. Stop demanding certainty from life. Stop demanding guarantees. There is no safe path. There is only action. And the action you take today will build the confidence you crave tomorrow. Excuses also disguise themselves as loyalty to family, to friends, to obligations. You tell yourself you can't pursue your dream because people are depending on you, because you don't want to disappoint, because you have responsibilities. But what you don't realize is that by settling, by holding back, by refusing to step into your true potential, you are not helping anyone. You are teaching everyone around you that compromise is the standard, that playing small is acceptable. You are not protecting them. You are betraying both yourself and them. Because when you rise, you show others what is possible. When you break your excuses, you give everyone around you permission to do the same. You cannot serve anyone by shrinking. You serve by becoming. You serve by expanding. You serve by being the example of what it looks like to break free from excuses and live with courage. The harshest truth of all is this: excuses don't just kill dreams, they kill you slowly from the inside out. They erode your confidence, they dim your fire, they poison your spirit. They make you settle for a life that is smaller than the one you deserve. And the tragedy is, excuses sound so reasonable that you don't even notice the damage until years have passed. You wake up one day, filled with regret, realizing that your excuses have stolen opportunities you can never get back. That's the danger. They are thieves disguised as logic, but you hold the power to stop them. You hold the power to cut through the lies, to silence the voice that tells you, you can't, and to replace it with the voice that says, watch me. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need flawless conditions. You don't need anyone's approval. You only need the decision to stop excusing yourself from your own potential. Because the day you stop making excuses is the day you start making progress. Identity is the foundation of everything you do. And yet, most people live their entire lives wearing masks, shifting who they are based on who's watching, bending themselves into shapes that fit the expectations of others. You've been told who to be since the day you were born. By family, by teachers, by culture, by society. You've been measured against standards that had nothing to do with your truth. And somewhere along the way, you stopped asking yourself the most important question. Who am I really? When you don't own your identity, the world will write one for you. And the tragedy is, if you don't decide who you are, you will spend your life chasing identities that were never yours to begin with. Owning your identity means standing tall in your truth, no matter who questions it, no matter who disapproves. It's about claiming your place in the world unapologetically and saying, this is me. Take it or leave it. Because when you stop negotiating your identity, you finally begin to live. The danger of living without owning your identity is that you're always at the mercy of others. If people validate you, you feel worthy. If they criticize you, you feel broken. If they notice you, you feel seen. If they ignore you, you feel invisible. That's no way to live. That's bondage. Your worth cannot be tethered to the shifting opinions of others. People will change their minds. They will project their insecurities onto you. They will call you too much when you refuse to shrink, and not enough when you don't meet their expectations. And if you allow those labels to define you, you will forever be trapped in their cage. Owning your identity means cutting the strings. It means recognizing that no one else gets to define your value. You are not an echo of other people's opinions. You are not a reflection of their limitations. You are your own source, your own authority, your own definition. And when you stand in that, you cannot be manipulated, shaken, or diminished. Think of the people who inspire you the most. They're not the ones who blended in. They're not the ones who watered themselves down to fit in. They're the ones who stood out, who embraced their uniqueness fully, who refused to apologize for being exactly who they are. They didn't ask permission to be bold. They didn't shrink to avoid criticism. They embraced their identity, flaws and all, and turned it into power. That's why they're unforgettable. That's why they changed the world. And the same truth applies to you. The very things you've been hiding, the traits you've been ashamed of, the quirks you've been told to suppress, those are the things that make you powerful. The world doesn't need another imitation. It needs authenticity. It needs your authenticity, because your identity fully owned is your greatest advantage. Nobody can compete with it. Nobody can duplicate it. Nobody can take it from you. The reason most people don't own their identity is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of abandonment. They fear that if they show up as their true selves, they won't be loved, they won't be accepted, they won't belong. But here's the truth. Belonging built on pretending is not belonging at all. It's performance. And performance is exhausting. You spend so much energy trying to keep the mask in place that you never get to feel the freedom of simply being. Real belonging can only come when you show up as yourself. No filter, no facade. And yes, some people will leave. Some people will criticize. Some people will say you've changed. Let them. Because when you own your identity, you attract the people who are meant for you, the opportunities that align with you, and the life that fulfills you. Every time you betray your identity to keep someone else comfortable, you're sacrificing your future for their opinion. Stop trading your truth for temporary approval. Owning your identity is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's about aligning your actions with your values, your words with your truth, your life with your essence. When you are aligned, everything becomes clearer. Decisions are easier because you're not making them to please others. You're making them from a place of authenticity. Relationships become stronger because they're built on truth, not performance. Work becomes more meaningful because it flows from who you are, not who you're pretending to be. Alignment creates power. And when you live in alignment with your identity, you become magnetic. You stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. You stop begging for recognition and start commanding it. The world cannot ignore someone who is fully alive in their identity. And here's the ultimate power in owning your identity. Freedom. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from approval. Freedom from the endless cycle of proving and performing. When you own your identity, you no longer need to compete with anyone else. You realize there is no competition. No one can outdo you at being you. That realization is liberating. It silences the noise. It kills the doubt. It dismantles the pressure. You stop living like a counterfeit version of yourself and finally step into your original design. And once you taste that freedom, there's no going back, because nothing, absolutely nothing, is more powerful than a person who knows exactly who they are and refuses to apologize for it. Urgency is the pulse of transformation. Without it, dreams remain dreams, goals stay on paper, and potential never leaves your imagination. Too many people treat life as if they have unlimited time, as if tomorrow is guaranteed, as if the clock isn't ticking away with every single breath. But the truth is, tomorrow is not promised. The only guarantee you have is today, this hour, this moment, this choice right here. Yet, instead of acting with urgency, most people procrastinate, convincing themselves that someday will arrive. Someday is a lie. It's the word we use to excuse ourselves from the responsibility of acting now. And every time you say, someday, you push your dream further out of reach, until one day you look back and realize that someday never came. That's the tragedy of wasted potential. Not lack of talent, not lack of opportunity, but lack of urgency. When you act with urgency, you create momentum. And momentum is the fuel that carries you through the hardest parts of the journey. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how difficult it feels to start something? But once you begin, once you take the first step, energy begins to build. That is the power of urgency. It forces you to break inertia, to move before comfort talks you out of it. But here's the danger. Hesitation kills momentum faster than failure ever could. Failure can be learned from, but hesitation keeps you stuck, paralyzed, watching life move forward while you remain frozen. Acting with urgency doesn't mean being reckless. It means refusing to let fear and procrastination dictate your future. It means understanding that the best time will never exist. So the only time worth moving is now. And when you build a habit of urgency, you stop waiting for perfect moments and start creating them. The people who change the world don't wait. They act. They don't sit around hoping opportunities will find them. They create opportunities through decisive action. History is filled with individuals who didn't have all the resources, all the knowledge, or all the confidence, but they had urgency. They moved when everyone else hesitated. They took risks when others stalled. They acted while others debated. And because of that urgency, they changed everything. Look at your own life. How many chances have you lost because you waited too long? How many doors closed because you hesitated instead of stepping through? How many relationships, ideas, or opportunities slipped away because you told yourself you had time? Acting with urgency doesn't guarantee success every time, but it guarantees movement. And movement is the only thing that separates the ones who dream from the ones who achieve. Urgency also sharpens your focus. When you know the clock is ticking, distractions lose their power. Suddenly, that argument on social media doesn't matter. That mindless scrolling doesn't matter. That endless waiting for the right time doesn't matter. What matters is progress. Urgency strips away the noise and forces you to confront what's essential. It's the difference between living intentionally and living on autopilot. When you live with urgency, you start asking yourself, if today were my last day, would I still waste time on this? And the answer is almost always no. Urgency is the great clarifier. It makes you prioritize, it makes you act, and it makes you relentless about moving toward what truly matters. Without urgency, you drift. With urgency, you dominate. Here's the truth most people don't want to face. Life will not wait for you. The clock does not pause because you're scared, uncertain, or unprepared. Every minute you waste is gone forever. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because the most dangerous lie you can tell yourself is that you have time. You don't know how many years, months, or even days you have left. That's not negative. It's reality. And once you face that reality, you have two choices. You can live cautiously, wasting days as if they're infinite, or you can live urgently, treating every day as if it matters. Because it does. Every day matters. Every moment counts. The people who live with urgency leave legacies because they refuse to let their days slip away unnoticed. They move with intention, they act with speed, and they build lives they can be proud of. Not someday, but today. And this is where urgency transforms everything. When you adopt it as a way of life, you stop negotiating with your dreams. You stop telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow. And instead you say, I'll start now. You stop delaying your growth, your progress, your breakthroughs, because you understand that waiting is just another form of surrender. Urgency gives you power because it makes you impossible to stop. It makes you resilient because you don't waste time soaking. You adjust quickly and move forward. It makes you fearless because you don't have time to overthink. You act and figure it out along the way. Urgency is not about rushing blindly. It's about refusing to waste the one resource. You can never get back time. Once you live with urgency, you become unstoppable because nothing, no setback, no rejection, no failure can take away the fact that you acted. And that action will always put you ahead of the ones still waiting for someday. Every single day, whether you realize it or not, you are making choices that shape your destiny. You may think life is something that happens to you, that circumstances or luck are in control, but the truth is far more confronting. It is your decisions that decide who you will become. And the most powerful decision of all is this: will you rise or will you shrink? Because in every challenge, in every setback, in every storm, that choice presents itself. Do you let the weight of life push you down, or do you stand taller in spite of it? Most people don't even realize they're making that decision daily. They think they're just surviving, but survival is a decision too. You are not just a product of what happens to you. You are the result of how you choose to respond. And that choice, whether conscious or not, is writing the story of your life. Too many people underestimate the power of decision. They think transformation comes from motivation, from inspiration, from some external spark. But motivation fades, inspiration wavers. Decision, however, is solid. It doesn't wait for feelings. It doesn't bow to circumstances. It doesn't bend to opinions. Once you decide who you will be, your actions align, your mindset strengthens, your focus sharpens. Decision cuts through doubt. It silences excuses. It creates clarity where there was confusion. When you decide that you will be someone who rises no matter what, failure becomes temporary, rejection becomes redirection, and obstacles become stepping stones. But until you make that kind of decision, you will always be at the mercy of life's chaos, tossed around by every difficulty, never grounded in who you are choosing to be. Think of the people who stand out as unshakable forces. They are not the ones who had perfect conditions, or easy paths, or constant support. They are the ones who made unbreakable decisions. They decided that quitting was not an option. They decided that circumstances would not define them. They decided that no matter how many times they fell, they would rise again. And because of that decision, they became unstoppable. The same storms that destroyed others became the winds that carried them higher. The difference wasn't talent, luck, or timing. It was choice. The decision of who they would be in the face of adversity. And you have that same power right now. You can choose to be defined by what you've been through, or you can choose to be defined by how you rise from it. You can't always control the situation, but you can always control your stance within it. The most dangerous thing you can do is refuse to decide. Indecision is the silent killer of potential. When you don't decide who you will be, you default to weakness, to fear, to mediocrity. Life will make the choice for you, and it will never choose greatness on your behalf. Indecision keeps you stuck in limbo, endlessly waiting, endlessly wavering, endlessly doubting. It keeps you living reactively instead of proactively. But once you decide, once you draw that line in the sand and say, "This is who I am, This is who I will be. No matter what, everything changes. Your decisions set the tone for your life. They tell the world how to treat you. They tell your mind how to think. They tell your spirit how to rise. You don't need 100 answers to all of life's questions. You need one decision, fully owned, fully committed, and fully lived out every single day. And understand this: deciding who you will be is not a one-time event. It is a daily commitment. Every morning when you wake up, life will ask you again, who are you going to be today? Will you be the person who lets fear run the show? Or the one who acts with courage? Will you be the person who complains about the struggle, or the one who uses it as fuel? Will you be the person who hides behind excuses, or the one who breaks them down with relentless action? Your identity is forged in these daily choices. It's not built in grand gestures or rare moments of clarity. It's built in the constant, unshakable decision to rise again and again, no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. That is where true power comes from, not in never falling, but in deciding that no fall will ever keep you down. So, the question you must ask yourself is simple, but it is the most important question of your life. Who are you choosing to be? Not who do you wish to be, not who do you hope to be someday, but who are you deciding to be right now, in this very moment? Because the answer to that question will shape your actions, your mindset, your future. You can choose to be the victim, or you can choose to be the victor. You can choose to be the one who waits, or the one who moves. You can choose to be the one who gives in, or the one who breaks through. Life is offering you the pen to write your story. But if you don't take it, if you don't decide, then someone else will write it for you. And the story they write will never honor the greatness you're capable of. Decide. Decide now. Decide who you will be. And let that decision fuel every step you take from this day forward. You've been waiting, doubting, second-guessing. But now you know. The permission you thought you needed was an illusion. The pain you've carried was not punishment. It was preparation. The excuses you've clung to were nothing but chains. The identity you've been hiding is the very fire that sets you apart. The time you've been wasting is the only currency that truly matters. And the decision you've been postponing is the only thing standing between the life you have and the life you want. This is it. This is the turning point. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when the stars align. Right now, you are ready, not because everything is perfect, but because you've decided it will be. You are stronger than the fear, greater than the excuses, bigger than the doubt. Every scar, every setback, every ounce of struggle has prepared you for this exact moment. So stop waiting. Stop apologizing. Stop shrinking. The world does not need another copy. It needs you, fully alive, fully awake, fully unstoppable. Own your power. Own your truth. Own your life. Because this is not just another day. This is the day you draw the line. This is the day you rise. This is your moment. Claim it.